All right, boys and girls, welcome back to the drive-thru. Hope everyone's having a wonderful day. Hungry? Stop by the deli. Get yourself some mint-stuffed Oreo cookies. Still hungry? Make them double-stuffed, Paige, and don't even worry about it. All right, so today we've got 6 new theorems. It should be 8 or 4, but they picked 6, and you'll see why that is in just a second. But really, they're all almost the exact same theorem. We've got angle addition theorem, angles addition theorem, angle subtraction theorem, segment addition, segments addition, and segment subtraction. Don't even sweat it. Here we go. So you can pause and copy these down. I'm not going to read them all, okay, but I will read the first 2 so I can kind of talk you through the difference. If a segment is added to congruent segments, then the resulting segments are also congruent. Let's just see what that would look like. If a segment, so we are given that we've got 2 congruent segments. Okay, so let's say we've got AB is congruent to X, Y. Okay? If a segment is added to congruent segments, so let's say we added, oh no, I can't call it that. Let's say we added CD to this one, okay? And it is in line, and we add CD to this one. And again, these points are in line. Well, then what we know is that DB is congruent to DY by segment addition, okay? So that's all we're talking about here. Now, the only difference would be between the first one. Let's go back and look at the second one. The second one says if congruent segments are added to congruent segments, then the resulting segments are congruent. So it sounds exactly the same. It's so close. In this example here, the difference would be now we're not adding the same segment, DC, to both. We're adding congruent segments. So let's say, once again, we were given, I missed a little tick mark here. We were given that AB was congruent to XY. Let's say we are also given that some segment DC is congruent to some segment GU. Okay? So we have AB is congruent to XY, and we have DC is congruent to GU. So what do you think we can conclude using the congruent, the segments addition theorem? We can conclude that segment DB is congruent to segment GY. Okay? This stuff's really, really simple. Got it? So now I will go back to this and just show you that we also have angle addition, angles addition. Then we have, this one would be either segment subtraction or angle subtraction, and this one would be either segments subtraction or angles subtraction. Okay? Why are there 6? I don't know. There should be 8 or 4, but there's 6 because the book's lazy. I just copied these right out of the book. Okay? So, again, pause your video here and write these down. But obviously what matters more than anything else is how are we going to use these? Well, you're going to be using them in proofs. So as I have kind of indicated to you guys, this class will be more and more proof-based for the next couple months. So if we were given that segment AB was congruent to segment CD, let's mark our picture. This is congruent to that. Then what can we conclude, Accelerated Study Hall students? What could we conclude? If we were given AB is congruent to CD, what could we conclude using the segment addition theorem? We could conclude that AC, which is AB plus BC, is congruent to what? That's right, which is BD. Do you see that? And what would be my reason for that? This is my conclusion. And my reason would be what? That would be a segment addition theorem. The segment addition theorem says, this is where you might want to read your notes and follow along, if two segments that are congruent, if the same segment is added to both segments, then the resulting segments will also be congruent. Okay? All right, now let's look at a pretty tough proof. This will probably be the hardest proof that we've driven through all year so far. Okay? So, given, oh, I need some letters. I need some letters. H, E, F, G. All right. And I got to have, is there one in the middle? There's not. I don't need it. Okay. So, we are given that angle GFE is supplementary to angle FGH. We know that angle HEF is supplementary to angle EHG. Let me just mark those real quick. GFE, this one is supplementary to FGHF, to this one. Okay, and then I'll use like this notation. So we know that this one here, angle HEF, is supplementary to this whole angle right here. Okay, I'm going to leave it like that for now. All right, we also know that angle EHF is congruent to angle FGE. So let me mark that. Angle EHF, I'll change colors. This angle is congruent to FGE, to this angle, okay? And then similarly, we know that angle GHF is congruent to angle HGE. I don't have a congruent sign on my keyboard, so that's why you'll see those are equal signs. Don't worry about it. Okay, so let me mark that one. Let's go back to pink. GHF. This angle right here is congruent to HGE, that angle right there. Okay, I got it. I think I got it. Have a great day. I'm going to keep the video going. So that is given. All right, so now what I can say is that angle EHG, look, angle EHG is made up of this pink swoop and this pink dot. So that's got to be equal to this angle, which is made up of that pink swoop and this pink dot. So angle EHG is congruent to angle FGH. Now, what I just did there was I took two angles that were congruent, the one with the pink swoosh, and I added two other angles that were congruent to that one, the one with the pink dot. So that is angles, plural, angles, addition, theorem. Okay? All right, well now look, here's where you'll start to see this class is compounding. So if you didn't understand the congruent supplements theorem on the quiz, well now you're going to start falling behind on the next section, okay? Because now I'm done. Look, you know that GFE is supplementary to FGH. You know that HEF is supplementary to EHG. But I just stated in this line right here that FGH is congruent to EHG. And hopefully you understand that if two angles are supplementary to congruent angles, then these two angles must be congruent to each other, which is exactly what we're trying to prove. So now I can say that angle HEF is congruent to angle GFE, angle, yes, angle GFE. Did I write down a given wrong? Gosh darn it. Okay, I'm so sorry. I'm not going to restart this. There's a typo here. What we were trying to prove is that HEF was congruent to GFE. That's why I got stuck there, and now it's all better. So look, now we can say that angle HEF is congruent to angle GFE, okay? Because if two angles are supplementary to congruent angles, then those two angles are congruent to each other. Okay? Alright, I just messed up what we were trying to prove there with a typo, so let me go back over this entire proof. Hopefully this helps. Look, we were given a lot of information, and I was given that some things were supplementary to each other, so immediately in my head I started thinking, we've got to use congruent supplements. Okay? Well then, with angle addition, we were able to prove that these two angles were congruent to each other, okay, by angles addition. So now, if, let me change my color here, if this angle is supplementary to this angle, and this angle is supplementary to that angle, and these two angles are congruent, then these two angles must be congruent by this theorem right here, which is called the congruent supplements theorem. Boom!